Good afternoon. I almost said good morning. Good afternoon. Yes. Uh, Monday afternoon, the 26th of August, 2013. New system rolling out. Get ready for CVACs. The world is on the threshold of some of the biggest and most rapid changes humanity has ever seen. For those who grasp what is happening, it's exciting. This is what freedom-loving people have longed for our entire lives, a rebalancing of the cosmic global equilibrium. Not only is the world's financial structure getting a reset, the way the world works is about to change in unprecedented ways. We are in for a humongous re-education as everything we've known will be repurposed to serve humanity, rather than fictional corporations operating on principles of greed and domination. Human rights will finally matter, and people will begin to recognize what true leadership really is, serving all creation for its highest good. All humanity is about to be blessed as the new system rolls out. CVACs are here. And I include in the description a link to a video that I can finally share. And I don't think it's going to be pulled down this time. We began sharing it a week ago and was told no, it was not time. But anyway, that link is here. It's a little bit different. The video is a little bit different, but the same information. The one last week you had to read. This time there's English narrative on the video, and instead of John Lennon singing Imagine. But the dreamer's dream is starting to come true, and that's what I'm talking about today. It is truly, when I was told that it was released and could be released to the public, it was like I sighed. Finally, we can begin to announce what many people around the world have been working on to create a system of balance and equilibrium, as I said, a system that makes everyone accountable to everyone else, basically. Everyone has a new level of responsibility, a new level of accountability. Our military and our police are going to be repurposed and retrained. Instead of serving the global elite and the international bankers with fraudulent orders and fraudulent directives, finally, people in the military and in police forces are going to be re-educated that their primary job is to keep their original oath of office, to uphold and defend in the United States the Constitution thereof, the original Constitution, not the modified Constitution that served the corporate structure known as the United States of America, but the original organic republic for the United States of America that those of us in this country have longed for. And as this changes in this nation, and this nation becomes no longer a corporation but an actual CVAC, a nation of people working together for the common good and working with the rest of the world to bring about peace on earth and to stop policing the earth according to the dictates of an insane and corrupted false leadership that doesn't lead but tries to dominate. Leadership has nothing to do with dominating others. It has nothing to do with giving orders and being the authority. It has to do with service. It's always had to do with service, but things got messed up in our world. Things got twisted. Things got turned inside out and upside down. Things were corrupted. Everything became different than what it was supposed to be. And that happened for a reason. That happened for a purpose. It's not just accidental that things unfolded the way they did, because humanity, being what it is, being lazy, would never have awakened if It was not permitted for the governments to become corrupted, for the banks to start acting fraudulently and in their own best interests rather than in the best interests of humanity itself. Everything, as I said, was turned inside out and upside down. The educations were given things to teach that weren't true. And history itself was rewritten to cloak the truth behind the scenes, to hide the man behind the curtain and the purpose behind the curtain. We think that the purpose was to dominate the world. That's what all of us were trained not to see, and yet to under our conscious mind to know had to be going on, because something was wrong, but we couldn't quite put our finger on what it was. We couldn't quite come to grips and come to terms with what was really happening in the world, as justice was perverted and injustice seemed to reign. Courts no longer protected the rights of people, no longer stood up for the values that humans have innately, the value of respecting one another, the value of loving one another and actually honoring one another. The namaste. I recognize the light that's in you. It's in me too. I recognize that divinity. It's in both of us. It's in everything. I recognize it. But we were perverted. We were blinded so that we could have life become really, really hard and really, really challenging, because we forgot who we were. And the only way we'd wake up is if all of the options seemed to have the doors closed. All of the things that could go wrong were going wrong, where the negative was honored greater than the positive. And we saw this happening in our lives, where we would do something thinking that we were going to get happy there. But it didn't bring happiness, no matter how much wealth we required or material goods we acquired, no matter how many times we were able to score and fulfill our fantasies and our lusts, no matter how many times we were able to do things that we thought would bring us joy and happiness. It fell short, it failed, it did not fulfill us. And so we were left searching, left groping. We had to fall to the ground and get covered up, as it were, with the dirt, and have the rain fall on the dirt and the soil absorb the moisture so that the seed could bring forth something beautiful, like a flowering, bursting through the soil and extending up toward the light of day, going back to the sun, to the original sun, the S-U-N and the S-O-N. Everything is a picture of the higher reality. But it had to be taken out of balance, or at least it had to appear out of balance for a time, so that evolution could be forwarded in a greater way, so that the humanity could wake up from its slumber and recognize the dream, recognize the matrix for what it was, a wake-up tool. Yes, it looked like a tool of oppression. It looked like a tool that was ready to stamp a combat boot on every human face. And that seems to be what has been happening in our world, as many, many, many human lives were snuffed out and many others suffered untold horror and untold injustice and untold insanity. But enough of us began to awaken from the sleep. Enough of us were able and willing to go where nobody was willing to go, or where so few people were willing to go. We were willing to look at the problem and square on face it for what it was, and said, something is amiss here. Who am I? How can I deal with this? And creative people began to create solutions. And CVACs, Creation Value Asset Centers, the idea began to be implanted in human consciousness. We can change the corporate system, the system of lies, the system of fraud, the system of manipulation and coercion, the system of greed, the system of disempowering the people and impoverishing the people for the benefit of a few at the expense of many. We began to see this and we began to address it. It's still going on. The process isn't finished yet. It's just beginning. The reset buttons are just starting to get pushed. It's happening in Egypt, perhaps first, perhaps Indonesia first, perhaps some other countries first. We've seen how Iceland stood up and told the bankers no. We've seen how Ecuador stood up and told the bankers no. We've seen more recently how Hungary stood up and told the bankers no. May the rest of the world follow suit. May Greece and Spain and other countries that are pushed to the brink of impoverishment at the expense of the people just put the blame and the cause right back where it really is. It's on a false system created by the international bankers to awaken us, to bring us to the place where we began to see things as they really are, instead of as we were told they were. We began to see the truth and to sense the truth beneath the lies. And as the truth became uncovered, we got pissed off. Many of us got really, really angry. And we began, some of us, to release the anger and recognize that underneath the anger is love. And we began to love ourselves enough, to love life enough, to find solutions, to create a new way, to create new patterns of being, new patterns of understanding, new ways of educating ourselves by listening to an alternative media and beginning to dance to the beat of a different drummer than the corporate drummer that we had been brainwashed by. And we began to follow a new piper, a piper that's within each of us, playing a beautiful tune, a tune of harmony rather than discord, a tune that resonates our very soul and makes our heart dance. We began to discover this. We began to move into this new consciousness. Call it 4D or 5D or whatever D you want to call it. It's just a new way of perceiving the world, a new way of thinking about the way life works. And we began to implement it. And that's where we are on the 26th of August, 2013. That's where we are, ready to roll out a new system, a new way of doing things. Creation's value asset centers. You are one. I am one. Each of us is one. If we choose to be, we can choose to work together, cooperating to create a world that literally works for everyone. And that's the world that's capable of bringing peace to the planet. That's the world that's capable of creating solutions to what have seemed like and what we've been told were insoluble problems. We are on the verge of healing the planet and healing ourselves and healing all of creation. And the ripple effects go out into the cosmos, and it will call forth our own future as our own future pulls us forward, as our own future brings us into a new dynamic, a new understanding, a new awareness, a new consciousness, the consciousness of love, the consciousness of being and doing and creating, because we are all creators. Together we are co-creators, and together we are creating this new heaven on earth. It's the new heaven and the new earth, descending and ascending, merging in our heart, merging in the middle of our being, in the middle of our lives. This is what's happening in our world right now as the reset buttons are pressed and as global currencies are being revalued, as everything is being set. And don't get too mad at the people that brought us all the hardship. As they ask for forgiveness, let's forgive them. As they ask for reconciliation, let's be reconciled with them. Those that refuse to dance to the new drummer, those that refuse to listen to the beat that's being played, and refuse to hear the sound of the cosmic piper that's being piped, well, they're going to have to deal with more instant karma. Let's just put it that way. More instant reaping what they have sown, so that they too can awaken and find a place of true repentance, of true turning away from the domination and the control system and trying to control others and force others to do what they want them to do or what they want us to do. We need to let them have their time to awaken and to be patient as this process takes place, to be patient with ourselves and with each others, and to recognize that, yeah, we've all been deceived. We've all been led astray. We've all been brainwashed. Well, let's get over it, okay? Let's get over it and let's learn to begin to let it go. Yeah, it's going to piss some people off for the initial revelations, but ultimately we're going to find that place of bliss that's within all of us, that place of harmony that's inside of each of us. We're going to find it, and we're going to change the face of the planet. We're going to change the way the world works. The new system is rolling out. Get ready for the CVACs because they're here now. Learn about it. Learn about it. Re-educate yourself. And most important of all, be kind to yourself and learn to be kind to each other. Thank you for letting me share with you today. I love you. God bless you. Namaste.